Okay, I'm headed downtown in a cab, heading down to One World Trade Center for a meeting. I got a crackerjack question actually just now that I'm going to seek to answer. So the comment relates to something that I've heard 100 times in this antitrust trial, which is that clearly what Google's going to do is seek to appeal for years and years and years and years and years. And of course they would, for a whole host of reasons. Like, number one, this company makes billions of dollars a year, and so every year it can delay, it banks more billions. Similarly though, it also has to look out for its shareholders, right, and make the right decisions for them. And so therefore it's also got a fiduciary responsibility to hold this off as long as it can. However, this misses something again in the DOJ's remedies. So the DOJ knows that this might happen and that this may be pushed way down the line, and it doesn't want tens or hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue to be lost to the victims of this monopoly while this appeals process drags on and on and on and on and on. And remember as well that Google's got enough money to hire all the lawyers you could possibly imagine to ensure that this does take forever. So what's the DOJ's remedy? Fantastic. What it says is it wants half of Google's revenues put into escrow. So for anybody that hasn't bought a house or hasn't been through escrow before, the idea is that the money, instead of being earned and banked by anyone, goes into a bank account and then is locked there until the process is completed. Escrow is called. In this scenario, if you think about the way that the DOJ is thinking about this, what they're saying is that, okay, so Google, you can continue to earn all these billions of dollars, but this money's going into escrow because ultimately the money might never ever get to you. It may go to the victims. It may go to help fund the transition of all the companies from the old Google infrastructure to a new future, and that might cost billions and billions of dollars and take a couple of years, and that money in escrow can be used for that. But I think there's an even more subtle piece in here, which I actually think is the real genius of this call from the DOJ, and that is that Google is not a cheap company to operate. It's OPEX. We're talking about 100,000 employees. Its OPEX will be billions and billions and billions of dollars. And even if Google's earning billions and billions of dollars, if half of its money is being locked up in a bank account that it can't access, then it's going to have to be a lot more careful about what it spends money on if it wants to keep the lights on in the business. More than that, it means that they're not going to be able to pay all these lawyers if they can't pay their staff. And so I actually think that this is a subtle but very ingenious method to shorten the appeals process and to bring this to a head faster. I don't think that Google can afford, frankly, to have half of its revenue dropping into escrow while it's still got to run its businesses. So the question was, Ricky, how long do you think the appeals process takes? I think in Google's eyes, 7 to 10 years would be just delightful, thanks. In the DOJ's eyes, 1 to 2 years while we transition. And in the judge's eyes, well, we don't know yet, but we'll find out when the remedies happen. So I think this general view of the industry that Google's going to hold this up forever and ever and ever misses the escrow piece. And so I think you need to know that. All right, I'll be back with another one the next question I get.